So the reason for doing it, for many reasons, was because of my father, and because of the things that he taught me about broadcast journalism, but also because I believed that there were a lot of similarities to situations that we have now, and mostly it was about asking television journalists to hold people responsible like they used to. It's about the idea of using a government that uses fear to take away civil liberties, which I thought it was sort of similar to some of the things that were going on right now. So I thought there were a lot of interesting parallels to tell.
Because Mr. Murov did fight against McCarthyism, the witch hunt, and he regretted the results because he was a part of the fact that Joseph McCarthy at the end.
He was very much, and when you look over the history of television, the history of television news, there were really two significant times in American journalism that one particular television show changed everything in America. One was when Walter Cronkite, who was a very famous anchorman, went to Vietnam, and he came back and he said, "We can't win this war." And it changed. Johnson retired and said he wouldn't run for a second term. And the other was this particular moment when Edward R. Murrow, who was the most trusted man in America, went after McCarthy. It wasn't his attack of McCarthy that brought McCarthy down. It was McCarthy turning around and accusing him of being a communist that brought him down, because everyone knew that Murrow wasn't a communist. So we found that, you know, we go through circles of time in our history where we tend to do a lot of the same things. Every 30 or 40 years, we like to push away our civil liberties out of fear. You watch a lot of these sort of cycles going back and forth, and you see one coming up where we have a Patriot Act right now that wants to take away civil liberties, take away the rights of individuals to know if you're being investigated or not, take away the rights of individuals to have a subpoena brought before a judge before people could secretly investigate you. All of that is because they're afraid. I think there are a lot of similarities when you think about talking about using fear to start to take away bit by bit those civil liberties. And this was a time that it happened.
Many questions. One is, do you think it's risky, could be difficult to show a movie like this for American audience in the America of President Bush?
Well, I think we had 49% of the country agreed with me, so I don't think that that's necessarily risky if you've got that, you know, that many people. The main thing is this: I don't think it changes anything to make a film like this. I think what it does do is it may open up some discussions again while they're in the middle of trying to ratify the Patriot Act and renew the Patriot Act. I think that might help, just to have, not that the movie will help, but it will help any discussion on the subject is always good. But mostly it's about me being able to stand around 20 years from now, and when people say, where did you stand on these subjects, and what did you believe in on these subjects, I have a timeline of film that I can say, well, this is what I was saying at this point. You know, I don't try to draw the conclusions. I leave it completely in historical context, and I deal with them all with fact. We didn't make up any of the stories. We didn't make up any of the scenes in the movie. They all happened. We used all the old reporters, brought them in, had them on the set every day, and said, what are we doing wrong? Tell us what we're getting wrong. Because we wanted to be very careful with it.
Did you do research about the McCarthyism and the witch hunt?
Oh,
how
sure.
The witch hunt divide America and Hollywood? For instance, Humphrey Bogart, John Huston, Marilyn Monroe fight against.
Everybody was. It depended on who you were and sort of where you stood politically. Some people earnestly believed that communists were going to take over our country. So you had certain people, Ronald Reagan, for instance, who was the head of the Screen Actors Guild then, who really were happy to name names and point people out. And when you read what they did, you know, they believed it. They believed that they were communists, so they thought they were doing the right thing. Then you had a great many people who thought that that was insanity, and thought that the use of government to terrorize its own people was a very dangerous step. And that's what was happening. You know, they were already afraid of a bomb blowing up. Now you're afraid of your neighbor ratting you out. You know?
In which sense do you think there is a sort of new witch hunt today?
Well, I don't think there's a witch hunt. I'll tell you why. Well, I don't believe that government has the power, really. I mean, there are places, certainly with Ambassador Joe Wilson and his wife, that you could say government has actually gone on the attack of the informant. We have Judith Miller in jail right now because she refused to divulge her secrets. So there are times and certainly elements of it, but not to the extent that it was. At that point, literally careers and lives were ruined by the thousands in 1953 and 54 and 52. That hasn't happened. It's more about there are similarities, which is attack the person who brings you the information, attack them.